And we are live. So I am going to unmute Miss Lisa, and then I will let her take it from here. All right, so you're good, Lisa.
Thanks, Bo. Hi, guys. There's a lot of y'all here. I feel like it's the Brady Bunch times about 15 that I'm looking at right now. So today, here's how we're going to do this, y'all. I'm going to actually share my screen, and we're going to go through all the sections. But what I want you to do is, because I'm Cuban and Italian, I will just keep talking, and y'all can't stop me. So if you have a question, put in the chat a question that you have, and I'll hey, Bo, if you're going to stay on here, if you wouldn't mind helping me monitor that just in case it gets away from me. But we'll make sure that we answer your questions. If it's something we can discuss right now, I absolutely will talk about it. If it's something that requires a little bit more in-depth conversation, we can take it offline afterwards, and we'll have a phone call afterwards. Does that sound good to everybody? Yes. Do this. Okay, great. I love it. Okay, so raise your hand if you are currently using LinkedIn right now. Okay, let's see what we got here. Great. So a lot of y'all are using LinkedIn. Who feels really comfortable with it? Kinda. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through everything that I think is like the foundational stuff. And if we have time, we'll go through, I want to make sure I answer all your questions, but we're going to go through the foundational stuff because I feel like that's where most people really mess up with LinkedIn. So let me share my screen here. Okay, can you guys see, do you see my LinkedIn? Just thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, great. So this is, when you first go to LinkedIn, this is essentially where you land. And I just want to point a few things out. This is, you know how Facebook has its own feed? This is your LinkedIn feed right here. This is anybody that you're connected with or who you're following or any business that you're following. So that all shows up here. Occasionally you'll see some trending things. If you use a lot of hashtags, or if you follow a lot of things with a unified subject. So like I follow a lot of marketing stuff, so I see marketing things here. I put a lot of hashtags for speaker. I see a lot of speaker stuff come up here. But this is essentially your main news feed. What you see here, this is a little bit of a dashboard for you right here. These are the pages that you manage right here. These are some of the recent things that you went to. Here's the hashtags I was talking about right down here. And then on your other side, these are special, like any trending news here and here. So of course you're going to see a lot of COVID stuff right now. And then this is a place where you can make your posts. And this right here is kind of your, I guess for lack of a better word, this is your navigation area. So this gets you home, which is where we are right now. So I just refreshed it. This is your network. If you wanted to look for jobs, you would go right here, messages, notifications. You see right here that I have a 1 right here. That means one person is trying to connect with me right now. You would see the same thing here in messages, in jobs, and if you had anything active going on. And then this right here is me. And if I click on that down arrow, you see I got all my stuff right here. These are your settings. These are the pages that I manage right here. This is where I would go and look at any of my stuff that I want to change. And so here's where I want to start is I'd like to start at the profile. So we're going to actually look at my profile. And I'm going to show you a couple things. So this looks a little different because you're seeing not necessarily what you guys see. So the first thing I want to talk about is your picture and your profile picture, your banner picture and your profile picture. A lot of people I see have this as the little LinkedIn little blue profile. Don't use that picture. What that says to me is either A, you're not using this platform that much and you don't really care what it looks like, or B, you're not familiar with it and you don't care to even find out anything more. So I'm probably not going to want to connect with you if I see that. So you want to make sure you have a professional headshot, not one where you cut someone out of the picture and you have your glass of beer. Unless you're a beer brewer, then that would be okay. But you want to have a professional headshot here or your logo, but something professional. Let me give you a little tip here. I typically would tell people to have 3, 4, 5 different headshots that they can use because you want to change them out periodically. The reason you want to change them out periodically is every time you change them out, anyone who's in your network gets a notification, and that's just another reason for them to come back to your profile. That's a little trick, okay? So make sure when you get headshots, get 3, 4, 5 that you're okay using and cycle them through periodically. So, once every few months or so, not once every couple weeks. You don't have to go that crazy, but definitely recycle them and change it up occasionally. Now this here is your banner. This should be your brand. This should be, it could be your email address, your website address, what icons you are, but it should say something about you. This is my brand right now. This, a lot of you guys know the Small Magic stuff. So this is my brand. You want to make sure you're utilizing this because people are going to, you can see here, this is above the fold. So this is the first area they see is all of this right here. So you want to make sure that you have something eye-catching that represents your brand. If you're not, you're missing out on some of the most valuable real estate on your LinkedIn profile. So make sure you're putting something up in there. Do I have any questions about any of that so far? No. Okay. So next thing I want to talk about is this right here. So you want to put your name, and then you see what I have here. I have motivational speaker, badass social media trainer, master egg poacher, and trucker hat aficionado. So motivational speaker and badass social media trainer are the 2 things that people would likely be hiring me for. I don't think they're going to hire me as a master egg poacher, nor do I think they'll hire me as a trucker hat aficionado. But why do you guys think I have that? And Ryan, I know you're on the call, you can't answer. So why do you guys think I have that in there? And anybody can answer. Okay, we got it. Okay, let's see. Why do I have it? Yes, to draw attention to my skills. Yep. Eugenia said to help set me apart and humor. It's something personal about me. Elise said. Shane said eye-catching levity. Yeah, absolutely. So I can't tell you. Yes, John said a little conversation starter. I can't tell you how many times people have looked at my profile and maybe they wouldn't have said anything to me or even paid attention to me with the motivational speaker and badass social media trainer. But I can't tell you how many times I've gotten emails from people saying, you're a master egg poacher? Tell me about that. So it opens a door where maybe it wouldn't have opened before. So if that's part of your brand, if humor or personal things are part of your brand, I would encourage you to put something like that, because now it also gives people insight into who I am. They see that I'm probably not going to be super buttoned up. I'm going to be more conversational, a little bit more willing to share personal things, what have you. Can you let me know how we can open a LinkedIn business account? Yes, I will do that. Once we go through the personal stuff, is it Vaja? Once we go through the personal stuff, we'll talk about the business account as well. No, Melissa, I do not have a paid version of LinkedIn. This is the free version. I will tell you, the free version is super helpful to a lot of people. I have never found that I needed the paid version. The free version does everything I need it to do. And then Rod says, shows that you're more than your job. Yep, absolutely correct. So I want you guys to think about what is it that people would be looking for that they're going to search. So I want you to consider that. So what if you're the president of a real estate company and you put president down here? Does that tell people what it is that you do? No, it just says you're a president. So you want to make sure, you see how I've got these things separated here by sections and lines? Put as much as you can in there, because that's all searchable. And you want people to find you in any way they can. So you would put president, you would put real estate specialist, maybe mortgage broker, maybe, whatever it is you do, you want to expand that. Does that make sense, y'all? Okay. So let's do this now. So I want you to see here, this is where you can add your sections. I do have my sections listed in a certain way. And I did find that once I added these sections and filled them out quite a bit, that I got a lot more connection requests. So the second thing that I see that people don't do is they don't do this. This about is really important. So I'm going to expand it here. But this about doesn't need to be 4 or 5 words, and you can format it any way you want. People ask me how I formatted that. What I did was I put it into a Word doc and I copied and pasted it. So you can do things like put little interesting little, bullets or hash marks or whatever you want. You cannot do it inside of LinkedIn this way. You have to do it in a Word doc and then copy it in. But you want to put as much stuff as you can in here, because this tells people you really can't talk to them unless you're connecting and talking on Messenger. This gives people a little bit more about you than you can do with, before you talk. So I would definitely do this. Here's another cool little thing. You want to put whatever incorrect spellings of your name people get, because that's also searchable. So my last name could be spelled a million ways. So think about that and put those in. Make sure you're covering as many bases as possible. Then the next thing I have is the experience. How many of you guys, a lot of times I get a question of people say, well, how far back should I go? Does anybody have that question? How far back should you go with your experience? Yes. Okay, so I went back, let's see here. All of mine is, the what shows before you expand it is all marketing. So everything I have here is all marketing. So I'm okay going as far back as, what is that, 2012. Let's see what the next 3 are. Again, marketing, marketing, marketing. Well, managing marketing, marketing. So all of my stuff is marketing. So you see there, it really creates a really great track record of that I've had a lot of marketing experience. A lot of question I get from people, 5 years, 10 years. I wouldn't say that there's a necessarily a time that you should worry about. I think it's more of how relevant is it to what you do now? Does that make sense, y'all? I got a couple people asking, how do you edit your business or claim your business on LinkedIn? So John, that's once you create a business profile, like a company profile, then you can go in here, and once you start typing in, well, let me show you. Let's see if we can find one. So I'm going to, so for instance, I don't have one for this. I don't have a company page for this. I do for Kohler House. No, we don't for Kohler House. I do I did for Lab 3 Marketing. We did for Rebuilding Together Tampa Bay, for National Distributing, but none of these other ones have a business one. So when you create a company business LinkedIn profile and you start to add in a business, let me see if I can do this without actually, let's just say boss of me, full time. Let's put in a company, micro. Okay, so you see I start typing in Microsoft and all of these come up. So I don't think anybody's really checking to see. I'll have to look at that, John. John's asking, I have a business profile, but doesn't look like I can edit it. I'll have to check that, John. You and I will talk after this. I'm not sure what exactly you're asking. And then David's asking, do you prefer to separate skills with, yes, I do, David. David's asking on the, real quick, do you guys understand what I just did here before I start answering questions? You guys see how you can claim your, so I don't work at any of these places, but once you start, let's see here. So once you start typing, you can select any one of these. And I don't know, I would assume that whomever is in charge of the social media for the company is managing that. I don't think you get stopped because you can put whatever you want there. I don't recommend you do that because it probably makes sense for you to actually work at the place you put down there. But that's how you claim the company page. Yes, discard. So David is asking, do you prefer to separate skills with, yes, I do, because I think it looks a little cleaner, David. David's asking if I prefer to separate this with, are you talking about this, David? I think he's talking about this. Yeah, so I prefer to separate. I think it looks a little cleaner than he's asking if I should use that or using a comma. I think that looks a little cleaner than a comma to me. I don't think it matters from a search standpoint. It's just an aesthetic thing for me. So either way works. I just like the way it looks better this way. So let's go back here. So I would put the experience that's relevant. Of course, if you have holes, you don't want to have holes in your work history. You want to make sure that it all makes sense. You can have, some people have asked me, can I have 2 current jobs? Yes, you absolutely can. I do. So you see here, I have this one. I have my own business, and I've been working there since 2017 to the present. But I also have another business, and I've been working there since 2016 to present. So you can do that, and I'll show you right here. See, it says present. So I could say, let's see, start date. You would put whatever you want. That, put whatever you want. I hope I didn't screw it up. And then it would allow you to click present or not. I have a little bio here. Would you like to end this position? No, I don't want to end this position because it is currently present. So that's how you would make sure that you're showing both of them as present. Does that make sense, y'all? What if you want to stay at home mom for 12 years? Okay, so Stephanie's asking a really great question. Let me get off of this, discard. Stephanie is asking, what if you were a stay-at-home mom for 12 years? That's a huge hole. So Stephanie, what I would do is be honest about it. I wouldn't put stay-at-home, although that is a very hard job. I think, you know, we've all experienced that now that we're home and quarantined with our family 24/7. I would put that you, you know, took off time to raise your family and you're getting back into the workforce now. Here's some of the skills that you worked on when you were employed. Here are some, like, there are still some certifications that you have or some skills that you still, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff as a mother that you know you have to still do. I wouldn't fudge it too much, but I would make sure to highlight that part. Does that make sense? You guys understand what Stephanie's asking? Is anybody else in that same position? She's basically saying she took 12 years off to stay at home with her kids, and now it sounds like you're getting back into the workforce, right? Okay. I'll wait till she answers there. All right, so you want to, so the bottom line is I want you to fill out as much of your work stuff as makes sense. If you did, okay, great, thank you, Stephanie. If like, you know, if I did something that maybe wasn't related to marketing, I don't think I would have included it here. But all of my stuff is pretty much related to marketing and management. So that's why I have it all here. I go all the way back to 2000. I'm pretty sure nobody's looking at these last 3 jobs because we're lazy. We probably wouldn't click this. So they're probably looking at these. I've got, what, 5 jobs here, and they're all marketing. So to me, that makes sense because that's what I talk about. That's what I train about. It speaks to my experience. Does that make sense, y'all? I say that a lot. Okay, so the next section I have is education. I would definitely put in your education. Again, it speaks to your credibility. Particularly in my case, I've got a marketing degree, so I want to put that in there. People have an issue with putting that they were in honor society or anything like that. Put that, y'all. This is the time when it's okay. This is not a humble brag. This is you saying, hey, I've got it together. I went to school. I graduated summa cum laude. I'm proud of that, so I'm darn sure putting that on there. But this is where you want to talk about all of your education, all of your training, what path you went, anything like that. You want to put that in here. You know, I put graduated with distinction. Probably no one even knows what that means, but it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? What about leaving out the graduation years as one gets older? I would, if it's a consider, so Dee's asking a question. Dee says, what about leaving out the graduation years as one gets older? Dee, are you talking about because you don't want anybody to be able to figure out how old you are? Because I guarantee you mine isn't correct. I mean, you see here, I went to University of Florida, if anybody's doing the math, in 80 and 82, but I didn't get my my master's until 2013. So they can sure figure out how old I am. I don't think there's a wrong or a right answer there. I think it's whatever's comfortable for you. But I do contend that putting anything down that has to do with what your focus is now, what your employment is now, or what you're looking for now, if you have something to back that up, I think it makes sense to put it. It just makes you more credible and makes you more attractive. Form of age discrimination. Well, I don't think you putting it as a form of age discrimination. I think if you're not comfortable with that, then you absolutely shouldn't put it on there. I don't think that it's going to hurt you unless you feel like people think that you're not going to get hired because you're older. I have not found it to be an issue. But again, this is one of those things, I don't think there's a right or wrong. It's whatever you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable putting it, then don't put it. Okay, the next thing I have on here is volunteer experience. So this is any boards I might sit on, any volunteering I've done. This also speaks to your community input, how much other things you do, what is important to you, what have you done, how have you contributed. So I'm currently on 3 boards and I have all 3 of them on here. I have them filled out. It's mostly talking about the organization. Now, I don't really talk about what I do, but you can see I'm a VP, I'm a director, and I'm actually need to change that because I had stepped down as president. I'm still on the board, but I stepped down as president. But this shows that I'm well-rounded. So I've got National Speakers Association, a veterans group, and a housing counseling group. So that kind of gives people a little bit more of an insight into who I am. And you never know when people are going to go, oh, I'm a veteran. I'd love to talk to you about that. It's another reason for you to get another hook to be able to connect with somebody. So I would fill out all of those things. Make sure that if you're doing any kind of volunteer work, you put that down there. Okay, this is skills and endorsements. And this is when other people endorse you for things. So it used to be that they could endorse you for anything. So for instance, I used to get endorsed for search engine optimization. I don't do search engine optimization. And you never want to hire me for that. So you used to have to go in and into the edit in your profile section and say, these are the things that I want out of my skills and endorsements, because you don't want anybody to endorse you for something you don't do. People assumed since I was in marketing that was one of the skills I had. It's not. So I had to go in there and edit. Now what you do is you can take this little skill quiz and it helps you with that. So I would recommend, if you haven't done that, to go ahead and do that. And it's like a wizard. It works you through everything. Now, recommendations are different. Endorsements are pretty much anybody can do. Recommendations anybody can do as well. But what's good about recommendations is that someone physically says, like for instance, I have here Tiffany. Tiffany didn't just go, Lisa is good at social media and endorse me. That's what someone up here said. Sharice Sandberg said, I'm good at social media marketing. What Tiffany said was, well, you guys can read it right here. But this is holds a little bit more weight. People say to me, how do you get recommendations? 2 ways. You can either ask for them, or when you recommend someone else, then their inclination is to recommend you back. So for instance, Tiffany recommended me, and I was like, oh, I've worked with Tiffany before, I should recommend her. So, and there's no shame in asking for a recommendation. You can just say to someone, hey, Tiffany, I did that presentation for you. I'd love if you'd give me a recommendation on LinkedIn. Most people would do it. Most people would do it. Now, if you did a really bad job, she's probably not going to. So I recommend you don't do a bad job and ask for a recommendation. But you see here, it shows, it will show more, but it shows the 2 most recent. So you can see I've got these, there's a lot of recommendations here. And you can actually move your recommendations around. You can move them around by editing here. See if I can show you that real quick. What time are we? Yeah, see here, ask for a revision, show. I can say which ones I don't want to show anymore. And if I decided not to have this one show, then this would be the next one, and this would be the next one after. So you guys kind of see how you can change things around a little bit. I think if there is a section that people are going to expand, that's going to be the section that they would expand. Because this, I think, tells a lot about you that you don't say yourself. Then the next one is I have accomplishments, and this is, I don't really want to go through all of them because I want to get to a few other things really important here, but I would encourage you to go through every single section here. So like I was on the digital marketing board. I've got to update some. See, I'm looking here now and I need to update some of this stuff myself. Some of the courses I took. Again, here's English and Spanglish. Again, it speaks to my personality, and I want people, if they make it that far down, I want them to see more. I was a TEDx speaker, all of these things. And then you get down to interests, and interests are important because, so like people might go, oh, she's a Gator, which I think everyone should like that because we're the best. But people might go, she's a Gator, so let me see what, let me talk to her. Then, now it gives you another place to have a connection. I like Tony Robbins. I like the Wall Street Journal. It gives you a lot more to have in common with someone. Do you see here, if you click on it, I've got companies, I've got groups. Here's all my groups that I belong to. And then I've got schools. Here's all the schools that I have followed or went to. So it gives you a lot more to have in connection with people. So what I would tell you guys to do is go in here and feel like, see where the pencils are? That's where you edit. Everywhere the pencil is you edit. And if you want to add a profile section, see right here, I can add anything I want right here. I do have pretty much everything filled out, at least something of everything. But I would encourage you guys to expand this. It might take you a little time, but I guarantee you, if you expand it and just fill it out and make it really beefy, that's going to help you get a lot more connection requests. And it's going to make people think, hey, they're serious about doing some networking here online. There's a lot going on here. It seems like there's a lot of substance. You're going to be a lot more attractive for people who are wanting to connect on LinkedIn. Make sense? UT rocks. There you go. Roll Tide. Okay, John. Don't make me delete you from the whole thing. Okay. So next thing we're going to do now is we're going to go back. So look, you see we have a few notifications here. So let's click on the notifications, and actually let's do it this way because I want to show you something real quick. So this is my network. This is anybody who is, okay, that's a few of you guys who are on the call right now. So we got Rod, we got Brianna, Tom, all of you guys. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we do. Rod, I'm going to pick on you. So I typically don't just accept people, and I'm so sorry about dogs barking, but we're all home, so they'll stop. The grass will stop moving in a second. Let me do this. Okay, what Shane said. So Rod, we're going to pick on you. So people ask me, do I have to accept everyone's connection? No, you don't. Typically what I'll do is I'll look to see what our other connections are. And see, Rod did something really good here. He put enjoying your presentation, because if I wouldn't have looked at this right now and I wouldn't have looked at it till later on today, I might not have remembered that Rod was on the call. So what he's done is he's given me some point of reference as to how I might know him. So I would absolutely do that when you're sending people a request to connect. The other thing is I would look him up. So I'd click on him and I'd go, all right, let me check out Rod. So I see we're already second connections. So that's good. That means he's connected to someone I'm connected to, but we're not connected. So then I'd go and look at his mutual connections and see who else he's connected to. Oh, a lot of people I know. So now I'm looking at his connections and I see he's connected to a lot of quality people. So right there, that might be enough for me to go, okay, cool, I'm going to connect with Rod. But then I do something else, is I also go and look and see, I'll look at his business. So he's with the Bucks and luxury suite sales. So what I want to do here is I want to do a little bit of homework. And that way, when I connect with Rod, I can say, oh, Rod, I see you're at the Bucks. Hold on, I don't know if you can't see my cup right now, Rod. When we get back, I'll show you my cup. But I know you're with the Bucks, so I might say those new uniforms are really nice. Looking forward to having Tom Brady. What I'm trying to do here is establish a connection and have a conversation. Like when you go to a networking event and Rod's loving this. The Bucks are getting a lot of extra time right now, aren't you, Rod? Yeah, TV14. Yeah, yes, it does, Michael. And I'll show you how to do that. It does allow you to do the invite on your phone. I'll show you how to do it. So what I want to do is I want to let Rod know that he's not just some business card I'm throwing in my desk drawer. I want to make sure that he knows that I've done some homework on him, and I would do the same thing if I were connecting with him. I might, if Rod didn't connect with me, I might say, hey, Rod, I'd love to connect with you. I see you're with the Buccaneers. I love the new uniforms. You know, something personal that lets him know that it wasn't just, when you send a connection request from LinkedIn, it's that I'd like you to join my personal network. It sounds very dry, very informal. It doesn't talk anything about you. And a lot of people use it. It's not bad, but I would think if you'd want to stick out, go Bucks, Rod. If you want to stand out, you want to do something, you want to take a little extra step, and that's what I do when I either connect with or accept a connection. So let's go back to Rod now. And I'm so sorry, my looks like my connection is a little slow. Did we lose Rod? John, how are we not connected? I thought we were. Giving lots of press with China with people wanting to sell you masks. So that's why you don't have to, so John's saying he's getting a lot of requests from China with people who want to sell him face masks. You'll start to see that occasionally you'll get some requests and they will sell to you right away. Don't do that. Get to know the person, find out about them, offer something of value, have a conversation, take it offline even, get on the phone or something, or do what we're doing and have a Zoom call. But you want to make sure that you're getting to know them before you accept them a little bit. All right, so I'm going to reply to Rod. Thanks, Rod. This is if Rod wasn't on this call, and you guys already know it. Looking forward to the new season. And make sure you spell right. Then I'd hit send and accept. So now Rod and I are connected. I sent something back to him a little personal that doesn't just make, like I could go just accept Dina and, you know, she'd be like, wow, thanks a lot. Dina, if you're on the call, I'm not going to do that. I'll accept you and I'll talk back to you. I'll talk to you in a minute. But you want to make sure when you're talking to people, when you're connecting with people, this is an opportunity for you to make a connection with them. So absolutely do that. So now let me show you how to connect with people. Let me see. So let's go back home. So, all right, so we're going to do this. So Omar is a buddy of mine. Dan Bavaro is Omar's friend. I am not Omar or Dan's friend, but I'm going to connect with Dan right now. Can you disconnect someone? Yes, you absolutely can. And I'll show you that in a second. So I'm going to show you. So if I click this, it's just going to send him a request, I believe, right away. Or if, let me see. Yeah. So what that did is that just sent the generic request out. So what I would want to do, and I don't know if it'll let me unview it. Yeah, it's already pending, so I won't do it there. So when you just click that, you can't send the message. But let's see who. Let me find somebody. Brian Butler. Let me see if I'm connected to Brian Butler. Of course I am. Okay. I wonder if I'm connected to Bo. No, we're not. Good. Bo, we're going to use you. Okay. So here's what I do to connect to Bo. So I'm going to hit connect here, and you see send an invitation. Yes, I absolutely do want to say something. So now I'm going to say, Bo, the SEC is won by Gators. You did something smart, Alec. So again, I know Bo, and I would not do this to anybody else necessarily, but I'm putting in my personality. I'm saying I know something about him. I know he's on this call here or this conference here, so I would send that. But what I want you to do is find something that you have in common with them, send them a personalized invite, and do it that way. Don't just send that generic connect with me. I'd like to add you in my personal network. That doesn't say anything about you or them, quite frankly. So, and like when you see these, you can do the same thing, connect. But what you want to do is you want to go to their profile You want to send them that personalized invite because you want to stand out. I don't think people are going to say, oh, they sent me the generic invite, I'm not going to connect with them. Going straight to purgatory. So Bo just said I'm going straight to LinkedIn purgatory with that comment. But you want to stand out, okay? So Stella's asking, should you accept connection requests from people you've never met? Yes, I do. Let me ask you this, Stella. Do you accept a business card at a networking event from someone you've never met before? You likely would, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing. What's cool about LinkedIn is you can find out so much more about them than you would necessarily at a virtual meeting or at a meeting. When you're here virtually, you can do some homework on them, find out who their connections are, find out what their hobbies are, what SEC school they went to. You can find out so much more about them here on LinkedIn than you can when you're meeting them in person, unless you have a really long conversation. So you still get to decide whether or not you want to connect with them. You don't have to connect with anybody if you don't want to, but you want to make sure that you're connecting with the proper people to build your network. Does that make sense? Some people want to connect. Yeah, so Dee is saying some people want to connect just to see your contacts. So there's two trains of thought there, two schools of thought there. I have all of my contacts available. I'm not afraid for you to see my contacts. I don't have anything on lockdown. Some people say, I don't want to have my contacts open because I don't want anybody to ask me to introduce them. I don't want anybody to see maybe who my clients are. That's a personal preference. It's not right or wrong, but I can tell you the whole thing with social media is that contacts and connections. Sharon's asking, if you have a free account, will it always show you when you look at someone's profile that isn't a connection? It depends on how you have your privacy set. You can have your privacy set that you are anonymous on LinkedIn, and unless they have a paid version, they probably won't see you. Now, if they have a paid version and you have your profile on lockdown, they still can't see you if you don't want them to. You have control over that, and that's in your settings, right here, settings and privacy. I don't know if you guys saw where I went. I went to that down arrow with me right here. When you click that down arrow, all of this shows up. Okay. Let's see. We've got like 10-ish minutes. Hey, Bo, what are we done at 3 or 3:15? I want to show them some posting stuff and a few things about posting.
Hey, Lisa, go ahead. What we'll do is we'll officially end at 3. And if people still would like to either ask questions or network a little bit, we're going to have it available till 3:10.
Okay, great. Okay. So I want to show you. So right here, this was where my network was. This is, some people have sent me messages. You see, I've got that one right there. Okay, this is Jesse who sent me a Let's Connect. And then notifications, that's anything that's going on in any of my connections. So you see right here, Accelerated Health Benefits is someone I follow, is a company I follow. Something was there. All of these are people I follow or I'm connected with. So that's what that is. And then home. Now, I want to talk a little bit about posting because I think that people get the, Melissa, I will absolutely do that. Can you hang out and we'll do that in a minute? I want to show you guys how to do the post and I'll show you how to do the disconnect. If not, you and I can jump on a phone call and I'll tell you how to do it. Great. So I think the biggest thing that I want you guys to remember, first thing is populate your profile, put pictures up. The second thing is I want you to interact on a regular basis. I want you to be consistent with the platform. This is a really great platform to build connections and relationships, and people like doing business with people they get to know a little bit better. This is starting to mirror Facebook more, but the content is still like a little bit more business related, where Facebook is more personal. But what I want you guys to do is it's not just about what you're posting, it's also how can you contribute to the conversation. So, so here's where if you wanted to post something, you would post here and type. Here's what I love about this now is depending on what you're posting, LinkedIn gives you these suggested hashtags. And it will either pick up from what you're talking about or it will pick up from hashtags that you use a lot. here's why I think hashtags are really important in LinkedIn, because you will get served content and your content will be served to other people who are following the same hashtags. So I think hashtags are really, really important in LinkedIn, even more so than in any other platform besides Twitter and Instagram. I would encourage you to start using these hashtags. And if there's a hashtag that you can use all the time for every post, definitely do that, because that starts to help brand you. Then you want to put in here, your picture is what you would hit here. You'd access whatever your bucket of pictures is, whether you're on your phone or on your computer. And you guys stop me so if I'm going too fast. You've got this for video right here. It looks like a video camera. This is for files right here, but you can also put a link. And let me show you what it looks like. You just type the link in, you hit that, and it should pop up automatically a preview. You see here it says loading preview. And then what I typically do, because I'm OCD and anal retentive, is I'll go and back that link out, because once it's populated, it's there, you're good. So then I would hit business owners, Together We Can, business success. Those are the three. And then you hit post. And now that goes out to, you see here, I've got it going out to anyone, but you can't say you only want it going out to connections, to group members, to anyone who, I don't know why that's still there, because I haven't changed it yet. And then you can hit advanced settings, which you can turn off if you don't want comments to be on here. But again, it's social media. I want comments on here. We're going to discard this. So something I want to explain to you guys, also you can publish an article. That's right here. So this allows you to, oh, that's a file, my bad. This allows you to access your files, and you can add a PDF, you can add any document that you might want to include in your post. And I definitely would use, I don't want you to get used to doing just one of these things. I want to see pictures, I want to see video, I want to see files, I want to see links, because you want to mix it up, because some people connect in different ways and you want to make sure to mix it up. Someone's asking, where's the write the article? What's the difference between create a post? Okay, so John Van Neville is asking, what's the difference between create a post and write an article? Create a post is what you just saw. Write an article is, where is that? Right here. It looks a lot different. It allows you to make a bigger, it's almost like writing a blog post. So this, you would have a banner picture right here, much like you do on your profile. You'd give it a, something you want to do. And then you can actually format inside of here. So blah, blah, you see it gives you different paragraphs. You can add a picture if you want. You can do a lot more. You see right here, I can bold it. I can put, yeah, this is where all your stuff is. I can make a quote if I want, and now it's going to look like that. So now it sticks, it's indented. I can add another URL. I can do bullet points or numbers. It allows you to format a lot different, where you can't do that with when you create a post. Does that answer your question, John? And I would encourage you to do this occasionally too, to gain better SEO and relevancy. Yes, so John's asking, to gain better SEO and relevancy for our blogs, we write posts and then link to our website. Yes, I would absolutely do that. So you want to make sure that you're driving people back to your website. Now, let's talk about your content really quickly. Any platform that you're using, you don't want to just talk about you. If you guys have heard me speak, y'all have heard me say this before. We skip through commercials on TV. We change the channel when a commercial comes on the radio. I want you guys to make sure to think about your social media the same way. If you are all commercials about you all the time, how often do you think people are going to check back to your page or your profile? They're probably not going to. We don't want to see commercials in our personal life. We also don't want to see commercials on our business stuff either. So you do have to talk about yourself, but 20% of the time, I would encourage you to do promotional things. Here's my services. Here's what we're doing. The other 80% of the time, I want you to think about what buckets you could fill. So is sharing inspirational stuff good? John, do you want to share success stories about your dogs that you've helped? Do you want to share things like, hey, it's hot outside, don't walk your dogs on the pavement. So think about the things that surround your business, but not that you necessarily do. So like realtors could talk about curb appeal. They could talk about what color to paint your house. They could talk about insurance. They could talk about, like things that are surrounding showing your house. But that's not necessarily the things that they do. But they want to see themselves as a resource so that people keep coming back to you. They're not going to see all the commercials, but they're going to see all the really great, valuable content that you're sharing. So I want you guys to think about, we've written the hot dogs on the pavement blog. Yeah. I want you to think about all the things you can share around your industry that isn't you talking about you all the time. The other thing I want you guys to consider is that it's not always about what you're sharing. Remember, I talked about this is your news feed. This is, you want to be part of the conversation. Let me ask you guys this. Do you like it when people comment or like, or you know how you can have all the different reactions now? When you get a reaction on LinkedIn, or even better, if they share something that you've posted, do you guys all like that? We all do, right? So why wouldn't you do that for somebody else? So I don't want you to think about what it is that you're going to post all the time. I want you to think about how can I contribute to the conversation? And the easiest way to do that is to go through your news feed. And so let's see something here. Like all of these are opportunities for me to interact with anybody here. So let's look at, all right, let's look at this. Well, that's a video. All right, so let's play with Jennifer Shaw. You have a health, now you're probably wondering, why am I getting this? Because she's only a second connection. That's because Nick and I are connected and he commented on it. So anytime you do any kind of action, it shows up in the news feed, which is good because you want to show up there pretty regularly. So now I see this. Do you have health and wellness goals? But they always seem to be forgotten because life gets too busy. So let's open this up. Why is it important to have a tailored to-do list? So I could say, I could do one of these things and say, oh, I think that's insightful. But I also want to, like Nick put simple and effective. That's kind of like saying, I agree. So, sorry, Nick, I'm not picking on you. I'd rather you be thoughtful and, okay, got it, Michael. Yep, I will absolutely show you that. Explain that, Elise. I would rather you be thoughtful and say, post something here that says that I've done some thinking about this. I want to have a conversation with you. It's really hard for you to have a conversation with someone when they say simple and effective. What do you say? Thank you. I want you to think about what kind of content you can share that's going to lead to more conversation, because the more conversation you have, the more likely you are to at least have an opportunity for that person to want to know more about you. So it's all about the conversation here. Because I want to be mindful of time. Okay, first of all, the news feed, when you open up LinkedIn, this is your news feed. This is the page you land on. This is your news feed right here. Elise wants to know what the numbers are by everybody's name. So if I'm connected to you directly, Elise, we are #1 connections. If I'm connected to you and Jennifer McDonald is connected to you, but Jen and I are not connected, Jen and I are second connections because it's like once removed by marriage. If Jen knows somebody else, then because Jen and I are second connections and we're not connected yet, but she has another connection, then that person and I would be third connections. And that's as far as LinkedIn goes. So if there's anything beyond a third connection, you can look to see if they're in a group that you're in, if they are following the same stuff you're following. I'm not suggesting not to connect with anyone who's more than a third connection. What I'm suggesting is they're a little farther out and you want to do a little bit more homework. Samantha's asking, if you are connected directly, there will be first, and if you know, yeah. So if you know someone who's connected to him, it's a second. Yes. I think I answered the question already, Samantha. Did you get that? Yeah, okay. Let's see. Okay, so let me show you how to unfollow someone since we still have a few minutes. Does everybody have an idea of what you can do here with the connecting and not, and the post and everything? Because I really want you guys to understand it's really important to have the conversation is so very important here. I don't want you to just go through liking a bunch of stuff. I'd rather you like a couple things and make comments as to why you like them and be insightful than just I call those drive-by. Thank you, Melissa. I call those drive-by social media people. Don't be a drive-byer. I want you to really think about it. Okay, so here's how. Let me go to my connections. And I don't want to disconnect with anybody, but I'll show you how to do it. Oh, you know what? I got to go to my network. Okay, so right here is where my connections are. I'm going to click on that. So say, and the reason you might would do this is, I'm sorry, I forgot who asked. I don't remember who asked, but the reason you might do this is because, so for instance, this has happened to me many times where someone will connect with me and I'll connect with them and immediately they start spamming me with things they want me to do. Hey, I'd like to talk to you about our services and our products. That is not the right way to use LinkedIn. That's not the right way to network, period, to be honest with you. I would prefer that you have conversation, you get to know each other a little bit, and then you find out if you're a good match or not. But if you start spamming me right away, like 2 seconds after I've connected with you, that rubs me the wrong way. And I don't think people, if you like it, tell me because I'll stand corrected, but I don't care for that. So here's what I would do. So let's say I wanted to disconnect with Jeff. I would click on him. I go right here. You see here, it says remove connection. Now I can continue being connected to him, but I can unfollow him as well. Unfollowing means I'm a connection of his still, but I won't see any of his stuff. And they don't get a notification either way. So that's how you do that. Let me see. How many correct connection requests can you send? There is a limit because, and I want to say it's 50, but I honestly don't remember if that's correct or not. Priyanka's asking, how many correct connection requests can I send? Is there any limit to these requests? Yes, so LinkedIn says you're spamming. And if you send too many in one shot, then they will stop you from being able to send correct connection requests. They basically put you on hold for, I want to say it's 24 hours or something like that. So don't go crazy. But if you're doing the connection request the way I'm suggesting, I think it's going to take you a long time to get 50 done. So I would really recommend that you do them, do a little bit of homework, customize that invite, let them know that you looked into their stuff. So that way, don't just go connect. Be really a little bit more strategic. Let's see here. Okay, Ryan says without paying for an account, it's 100 requests per month. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah. Let's see what else. Any other questions? We've got about 5 minutes here. If there's any other questions, and listen, y'all, I think a lot of y'all already did connect with me on LinkedIn. If you haven't yet, just put that you were in the South Tampa Chamber conference in the Zoom, and that way I'll know who you are. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. If I need to jump on a quick call with you guys, I'm happy to do that. There's so much to learn about LinkedIn, and you guys got like the basic stuff today. But I think if you employ these things that we worked on today, you're going to see an uptick in your connections. Any other questions, y'all? All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. And thanks everybody here. So as mentioned, I'm going to leave this open until 3:10. So you have 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody. And if you'd like to continue networking, feel free to. And then we're going to go ahead and close the room at 3:10. Again, Lisa, thank you so much. If I give you a clap, I would. But yeah, you're awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, y'all.
Or companies why they would look to implement this if they haven't.